have with us in the studio now, we're focusing, we're narrowing more now to a particular area, which is security. We never get tired of talking about security because the challenges are coming up on a daily basis. Only a couple of days ago, we heard that, bandits attacked a village in Katsina State, and the people there got very angry, took the corpses to the state capital to show the governor and also show the emir as well. Because for a number of people, as I said, and I keep on saying, the situation is becoming more than worrisome. Well, we'll shed a little more light on it now. We have with us in the studio Mr. Felix Ogbaudu. He's a retired Assistant Inspector General of Police and also a lawyer. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Pleased to meet you. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, you have been in the force, the police force, which primarily has the responsibility of ensuring internal security, keeping the peace and order in this country. And so far so good. It looks like the police is overwhelmed. What are your immediate thoughts when you keep hearing stories of security crisis here and there? What comes to you immediately?
Well, first and foremost, it's a very worrisome development. You recall that sometime last week, you heard the way the AIG lamented, and justifiably so. I enlisted in Nigeria Police Force some 43 years ago, 1976 to be precise, after my youth service. And things were not the way they are as of today. The police was more than adequately provided for us at that time. They were empowered to be able to perform their constitutional responsibilities. But today, what do we have? That was exactly what the AIG was talking about at that time. And not only the police. About sometime last week or 2 weeks back, our soldiers, our troops met with troops from Chad, and the general who led the Nigerian soldiers, when they had that interaction with their Chadian colleagues, complained just what the IG did. He started by saying, well, the president appreciates the sacrifice you've made for this country. Chief Army Staff, the same, and all, everybody, Nigerians, the president, and all of that. But regrettably, we don't have the enablement, the empowerment, the wherewithal to confront the Boko Haram. You recall some years back, Boko Haram attacked soldiers, and our soldiers ran to Cameroon. That was very worrisome and shameful development.
A tactical withdrawal, we're told.
Our soldiers, Nigerian soldiers.
I know, we're told it was a tactical withdrawal. You're the one who was saying they ran into Cameroon. But
tactical withdrawal, so they withdrew into Cameroon, not so. Why did you withdraw into your territory if it's tactical?
These are questions we should be posing to the military.
So back to what we were saying, so that's it. Precisely, the police as of today has a lot of challenges. They are grossly incapacitated because they don't have the wherewithal to contain the situation on ground. But let me also commend the Inspector General of Police for what he did last week. You recall a number of these suspects, bandits, were arrested on the Abuja-Kaduna highway. And you saw the quantum of arms and ammunition that were recovered from them, including a rocket launcher. And how did they achieve all of that? The quality and number of police officers that were deployed that day. They went and raided the entire place, and they were able to arrest all those people and recovered all that they recovered. So like I said, we've always said that in the absence of security, no form of human endeavor takes place. That is why Nigeria as a nation, like all other political climes, the civilized, well-developed ones, don't compromise security.
I don't want to talk about funding, because some people will say, I mean, the funding is too poor, yet the IG was able to achieve what he achieved along the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway. Do you think it borders more on a lack of will?
No, it's not. You see, we are talking of people putting their lives on the line. They need to be adequately protected. You are going to confront people that are carrying very lethal weapons. You see? You are going to confront people that are carrying very lethal weapons, so you need to be prepared. You should have superior firepower. If not, they will overwhelm you.
A couple of days ago, we were interviewing another AIG, who was retired as well.
Yes.
And he was saying that there is no national policy on security in this country. Is this something you agree with? Is it true?
No, that cannot be true. That there's no... well, maybe the point I was trying to say is that there is no law or no policy that specifically comes out to say this is what should be done in respect of security. Yes.
Yeah.
It's not so clearly stated anywhere. But at least all the security agencies have their functions clearly spelled out in the laws that establish them.
Is that sufficient?
To a large extent, yes. Instead of making an umbrella policy, if you have an umbrella policy, fine. Under that umbrella, you have the police force, civil defense, the SSS, the other operatives under security, and so it really does, that's not even an excuse in any case, and that kind of lacuna cannot justify what we're going through.
So what justifies it? What is going on right now?
That is what I'm telling you now. Look, we must prioritize security, and like a British Prime Minister said some years back, they asked the British Prime Minister, Your Excellency, why is it that the London Metropolitan Commissioner of Police earns more than you, the Prime Minister of Britain? The Prime Minister laughed. You know what he said? He said, because he provides an enabling environment for me to function. That takes us back to the issue of security being prioritized. Security, well guaranteed, is like the foundation of a building. If, for instance, you want to put up a 5-story building and you put a foundation of 2 floors, by the time you go to exceed the 2nd floor, 3rd, 4th, 5th floor, what happens? The whole thing crumbles. So we must prioritize security.
Aren't we prioritizing it?
Yes.
When we look in our budget,
we are prioritizing
security is getting a large chunk, if not one of the largest chunks.
Let me tell you, one of the biggest challenges this nation is facing. The budget figures are one thing. How much released eventually is another issue. Okay? And not just the police alone. A lot of agents are complaining. Some even released don't even come early enough, timelessly. They come towards the end of the year. So you find them just managing and all of that. So to a large extent, it's like somebody said, I have it here, but we won't have time to go through all of this. He said, who are politicians? Politicians are those that want to build bridges even when there's no river. And there's a young school girl, 13-year-old Yoruba girl, I think schooling in Lagos, also have it here. You know what she said? He saw on a yearly basis, governors, politicians come and make promises for us. They will do this, they will do that. At the end of the day, nothing is done. So it's not just talking. We have to walk the talk. We have to be very serious. And again, I don't want to mention names. There are certain arms of government, by my own perception and understanding, and I'm being honest about this, are doing little or next to nothing, and they're earning so much. Some others are doing so much, sacrificing their lives, and earning so little. That is why I have this culture of desperation for politicians, because the amount of money they make there. So if we can divert some of those funds to provide for security, if we have security in place, everything will fall in place.
But if you will not mention the names, how are people going to be saying, take money away from here and
listen,
add to the security agencies?
They are reading in between the lines. They are reading between the lines. But if you want me to be very specific, take the National Assembly, for instance, and legislators. I'm at the end. I also have it here. They're the highest paid in the whole world.
They're going to dispute that.
But it's here. People that put the sources there, I got it from, it's all here. It's all here. And why they cannot dispute is that, why is it that somebody goes in there, this culture, this sit tight syndrome, somebody gets and doesn't want to leave. They do or die attitude. All of that is there.
But that's an entire arm of government. They would claim that the security agencies are under another arm of government. Are we saying that we should? They also believe that they're not earning enough.
Who approves when the executive arm of government forwards the budget? The National Assembly will tinker with it. The last one, I can't remember the exact figure, but I think they added close to 800 billion naira again. As we're talking till this moment, the executive arm of government has not approved that, have not passed that budget. And this is May. A lot of things are just hanging out there. So these are some of the challenges. But back to the main issue of security. The security agencies for internal security led by the police force must be adequately funded. They must be adequately empowered to have the equipment to be able to confront all our security challenges. They must be adequately motivated and encouraged in the absence of all of this, forget we're just dancing in circles. And don't forget, one basic question that arises is, how do we get to where we are today? People are talking about population explosion. Look at the estimates for this country come 2050 or thereabouts, almost 400 million. Right now, as we're talking, the number of Nigerians youths that are unemployed are so many. They are jobless, they are so frustrated because they have no money, no homes, nothing doing. So they're just there. And to a good number of them, life means next to nothing. And in the midst of all of this, you find people living very flamboyant and exorbitant lifestyles, flaunting ill-gotten wealth. Because again, one of the bad culture plaguing us is that of primitive acquisition of wealth, culture of corruption, acquiring more than you desire, then the competitive lifestyle. All of these youths are watching. What legacy are we leaving for them? Nobody is emphasizing selfless service and service to the nation. No, nobody.
It almost sounds like an extension of the discussion we had with the Director General of the National Orientation Agency. Would you say that their work is related? The police, that of the police and that of the National Orientation Agency?
Well, the National Orientation Agency, I think one thing they also need to do, they need to sensitize Nigerians, because a lot of them need reorientation.
They said that they're hampered because the state is overwhelmed. I mean, and one of the areas where we're feeling that is in the area of security.
Yes, they'll not tell you that. I say in the absence of security, no form of human endeavor takes place. So if the security is in place, then everything takes off. But if they even want to do it, for instance, if they have their presence in the 7 and 4 local government areas we have in this country, maybe they have vehicles with loudspeakers and all of that, they have security men accompanying them, telling Nigerians what they should do and what they ought not to do and why. To a large extent, that will help to sensitize them. They can also extend that kind of approach too to our places of worship, to the churches, to the mosques, and when they have big functions.
When people just sneer at it, I mean, people must really have faith in a country that works for people to imbibe those kind of messages, don't you think?
That is what I'm telling you now. For instance, like I told you, the large youth of the unemployed youth we have in this country, when you say things like that, it's meaningless to them. Because what they're after is something to keep them going to earn a living. If you're talking to a person that has no job, he has no home, he has no money, his future is bleak, as far as he's concerned, you're talking rubbish. Because he wants to be empowered.
I mean, but we can't just lament. I mean, that definitely cannot be the way to go. You've said that the Inspector General of Police is doing something. And I'm sure that if you ask people in this administration, they will tell you that one of the areas where they have achieved quite a bit is in the area of security. They will point to Boko Haram. They will say, oh, we're also doing something in the northwest. They will talk about kidnapping and how different operations have been launched, even clashes between farmers and herdsmen. Just the other day, we had a lawmaker from Benue State who acknowledged that Operation World Stroke, launched by the military, had been of great help in clamping down on farmers' herders clashes in his state. It cannot be hopeless, certainly. So tell us what you think, I mean, besides funding, what else you think ought to be done? What else? I mean, some people will say that, isn't there a problem even within the Nigeria police itself?
It's not just funding I'm emphasizing. For instance, the United Nations ratio of police in any nation is 1 policeman to 400 persons. The current strength of Nigerian police force is far away from that figure. That is to say, the strength of the police force is grossly inadequate for our population. So we need to recruit more hands. Then 2, they need to be given quality education. Regrettably, most of the police training institutions are in a terrible state of decadence. You see, at the time we joined the force, like I said, some 43 years back, when I had my training, we had the best training facilities, every training institution. Be it a police college where they train recruits, or the police staff college then, where I was trained as a cadet TSP, which is now moved to a police academy in Woodhill in Kano, where they now train officers who also graduate and also come out with degrees. But when you go there, nothing to write home about. The accommodation grossly inadequate, the classrooms are not enough. Everything is in short supply. So to that extent, you don't expect to turn out the very best. If not, we require quality training for the men to give them that professional competence. You can't believe the police contingent in Somalia were judged the best of all the United Nations officers that went there for peacekeeping. Niger Police Force. And so the question is, if they perform so well outside at United Nations level and they're huge success, are judged the best, why are they judged failures back home here? The reasons are not far-fetched. For those of us that be out there, like I told you, all the empowerment to perform are there. No excuses. As of today, if you go to most of the police stations, no patrol vehicles. The ones that are there are rickety. And that takes me back to a cartoon I have here, which I'll show you after the program. A policeman stopped his vehicle and was asking the guy to bring his particulars. The police patrol vehicle was by the side. Said, yes, you're this, you're that, certificate of roadworthiness. And the guy looked at the policeman and said, look at your patrol vehicle. It's rot, it's not even worth to be in the bush. And you're asking for, does he have certificate of roadworthiness? But you see, in years past, in those good old days, every police command had a workshop well equipped with all manner of technicians, people that could service vehicles, spray painters, mechanics, plumbers, electricians, all manner of people. All police vehicles were taken there and repaired. And in those days too, if a police detective, for instance, was going on an investigation, maybe living in Abuja for like Calabar, and then he has to go through Benin and all of that. When he gets to Lokoja, he goes to the police fuel dump there, fills his tank, many signs, and he continues. He gets to Benin, the same thing. Okay? And as at that time,
yes,
the detectives will give him duty, what we call duty allowance. And you are warned so that you are not compromised by any of the parties you are going to investigate. But today, as I'm talking to you now, it is the person who complains to the police, who writes petition to the police, that has to fund everything that the police has to do. It's that bad.
It is terrible indeed.
Yes, it's that bad.
And I think that things must be said as they are so that we can begin to know where it is. I mean, it was Chinua Achebe who said that when you know where the rain began to beat you,
yes,
you will know where to begin to dry yourself. We have to thank you for coming on Sunrise City this morning. We're hoping to also have you again sometime. Thank you. We've been speaking with Mr. Felix Owaldu. He's a retired Assistant Inspector General of Police, and he's also a lawyer. Sunrise City will continue right now with Chamberlain and the team in Lagos.